Alright, welcome back everyone, as we're set for Game 2 of compLexity going up against Shazam, and it looks like we're starting off pretty much exactly how we started off last game. We have the Enchantress and the Abaddon banned out by compLexity. Then we've got the Wisp and the Bane banned out by Shazam. The opening picks, Death Prophet and Invoker. Wait a second. The Death Prophet and Invoker are completely switched. We've got a Death Prophet now on compLexity, an Invoker now on Shazam. Remaining. As we start to see a little bit of
5 seconds
difference
remaining.
Come out as we get the Tusk getting picked up by compLexity now, but let's
Reserve
back up.
Time.
First of all, I'm Niz. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you saw Game 1 with us. If you didn't and you're just getting here, well, you missed a pretty damn good game where compLexity played some really solid Dota. They went with a core Vengeful Spirit. They had an Invoker in the mid lane, which honestly had a little bit of a shaky laning phase, but that was mainly because Shazam was constantly sitting there camping with an Earth Spirit. They had a Death Prophet in the mid lane, and an HFN just wasn't really able to get going on that hero. On top of that, compLexity's Swindlemelon's in the bottom lane on the Slaughter. I don't know how he does it, but he manages to lead in terms of last hits coming out of the laning phase. When he's the offlaner, it's impressive. But with that, compLexity just kept the ball rolling and just kept running over the heroes of Shazam and took the early game, took the mid game, and then eventually took the entire game. As there you are, now one game up on Shazam in this best of 3.
Radiant
This
team
is the losers bracket round 1, or the semifinals, I guess. It's technically the quarterfinals. Well, actually, it is the semifinals for the losers bracket. It's technically 3 rounds
10 seconds
away
remaining.
from a grand finals in our tournament, but we're not going to have a grand finals because
compLexity's turn
just the
to
top
ban.
2 teams is all we need to know, and we already know what one of them is. Archon, so they're already going to the Shanghai Major. The winner of this series will go on to play against Digital Chaos for the final spot
10 seconds remaining.
in Shanghai.
5 seconds remaining.
As this Shanghai Major just keeps getting better and better.
Reserve time.
The open qualifiers, they had some really great
Radiant
moments,
team ban.
and we saw some just really great games. And
compLexity's
then we
turn
got
to
to
ban.
the open qualifier number 2, and it got even better. We got to see even better games, and then we moved into the group stage for the main qualifier, and we saw some terrific games. We saw that
10
one fantastic
seconds
game
remaining.
between Leviathan and the Elite Wolves, which we later
5 seconds
found out
remaining.
as there was another game going on at the same time, that it didn't matter what happened at all between Elite
Reserve
Wolves
time.
and Leviathan, but that was a crazy back and forth
compLexity's
matchup.
turn to pick.
Pretty big comeback by Leviathan to win that game. It was fantastic to watch. It was a very entertaining Dota game. What else did we see? We saw, as we moved into the playoffs, we saw some terrific games as well. In fact, yesterday we casted a
Radiant
2-hour and
team pick.
11-minute match. Just absolutely ridiculous. And compLexity was in that match. I don't know how, but then following that match, which they ended up losing to Archon, they then went on to finish playing a best of 3, and then they played another series after that. Just, the endurance, that's a little much to play a 2-hour and 11-minute
remaining.
game, and then only take a quick short break and then immediately jump
5
back into it and
seconds
keep playing
remaining.
Dota. But our draft has progressed a
Reserve
little bit
time.
here, so let's catch back up, as the 4th pick was a Spirit Breaker for Shazam. Then we moved into the banning phase, where we had the Darkseer and the Lone Druid getting banned out by compLexity. So even though we didn't see the Lone Druid do a ton of work last game for Shazam, it will be banned out by compLexity. As for Shazam's ban, they've removed the Dazzle and the Chen. Now compLexity's picked up the Gyrocopter. Interesting. Primarily they play that in the mid lane with Limp. With the Death Prophet on their side, they may mix that up, or maybe
turn
not.
to pick.
They could just put the Death Prophet safe lane.
Faceless Void.
And then, with this pick, they pick up a
Radiant
Faceless
team
Void, so
pick.
that'll probably be their offlaner. So we know the 3 cores. One downside to having your Gyrocopter mid against the Invoker, though, is that Invoker's... He's able to deal with the harass, the constant harass coming out from the homing missile. Whereas some other heroes like Queen of Pain are really going to struggle up against that. But Invoker's... He's able to deal with it. So it'll be interesting to see how Complexity chooses to lane this. If they just put the Death Prophet in the mid lane and say, okay, that's fine. We'll just have our Gyrocopter go safe lane.
5 seconds remaining.
Or whether they choose to actually put the Gyrocopter mid going up
Reserve
against
time.
that Invoker. And we've seen Limp's performance on that Gyro in the mid lane. We know it's fantastic.
Remaining.
So if anyone knows how well that Gyro is going to do
5
mid against
seconds
Invoker,
remaining.
it's going to be him.
Outworld Devourer.
So, ooh. Not only did we get
Complexities
that Witch Doctor
turn
come
to
out, but now we got an Outworld Devourer. You know, I spoke a little bit about those open qualifiers. We saw a lot of Outworld Devourer, mainly because we were following Lonely Boys for a bit. We saw Bacon is Beast doing work on that hero.
10
But
seconds
since then,
remaining.
we've actually seen it not really do too hot.
5
A few
seconds
times it's been
remaining.
picked up, it's been lackluster at best. Maybe Shazam will be a little bit
Reserve
more
time.
successful on it. Because maybe that will be their mid laner. Their draft's a little bit more disguised. If they do run the Outworld Devourer in the mid lane, then that would put the Invoker safe lane? Maybe even off lane. And then you've got your Spirit Breaker as your more aggressive roaming around support, and this time the Witch Doctor is the more defensive position 5 support. And then they'd be waiting on either picking up a safe laner or an off laner here. And Complexity, you see them taking some time here to really consider this ban. They're trying to think about all their options. As for Complexity's draft, we've already kind of gone over where it's going to be the Gyrocopter or the Death Prophet in the mid lane. The one that's not in the mid lane is going to be in the safe lane. Faceless Void's going to be in the off lane. And Tusk going to be roaming around as the more aggressive of the two supports. And Complexity is going to ban out the Beastmaster. One of their more signature heroes, but they chose to go with the Faceless Void this time.
Complexities turn to pick.
And Lich is going to be the ban from Shazam. Once again, removing a more defensive base support. We saw Z-Freak play the Lich last game, and he got a mecha pretty damn early. And that also further helps the Faceless Void in the bottom lane. Again, pulling the creep wave back, the creep equilibrium back towards the tier 1 tower, which gives Faceless Void not only
10
more
seconds
XP,
remaining.
but more potential to get last hits.
Radiant team pick.
As Complexity pick up their final hero, it's going to be a Visage. So not really the most defensive of supports. In fact, the Tusk is now kind of the more defensive of the two. But the Visage is typically quite greedy. There's a lot of ridiculous farming on the map. We've seen Owie 2000 in the past do
10 seconds
some crazy
remaining.
farming on that hero and do some good stuff. As we'll
5 seconds.
be in our
remaining.
next series with Digital Chaos. Doom's going to be the pick for Shazam. Still don't know. Is that an off-lane Doom or a safe-lane Doom? Looks like, based on Brax picking it up, it's going to be an off-lane Doom. As that would give us an Outworld Devourer mid and Invoker safe lane. And looks like the Death Prophet's going to be mid and the Gyrocopter safe. But we can't just 100% rely on who's playing what to know where each hero is going to go. So we'll have to wait until they actually take their lanes up in the game. So we'll do that in just a second as we're waiting on Swindle Melons to select his hero. So obviously Complexity going over a little bit about how they want to handle this
10
early game.
seconds remaining.
Maybe sorting out items, maybe sorting out how they're going to move out on the map to start things off. But they figured it out, and we're ready to go. So let's hop into it and let's get started. As we've got Shazam going up against Complexity, game 2 of this best of 3, to determine who will go on to play Digital Chaos for that final spot at a trip to Shanghai for the major. So again, guys, I'm Niz, and we've got SVG. He's going to be playing the Spirit Breaker. MSS is going to be playing the Witch Doctor. Blessed is going to be on the Invoker. HFN is going to be on the Outworld Devourer. And Brax is going to be playing that Doom. As for our dire sides, Team compLexity, Swindlemelon's going to be playing the Faceless Void. Limp going to be on the Death Prophet. Z-Freak going to be on the Tusk. Chessie on the Gyrocopter. And Handskin is going to be playing the Visage. As for our starting items, once again, Brax, the only hero in the game, starting with Boots first. Beyond that, no Sentry Wards this game to start things off, but we do have obviously 2 Observer Wards getting picked up, as those are going to be split among a couple heroes, as compLexity has already placed one in the Radiant Jungle, whereas Shazam, they're still holding on to their 2. They've got one up on the Spirit Breaker, and the other one's up on the Witch Doctor. But the horn has sounded, and we're ready to get started here, as Bounty Rune's going to get picked up by everyone, and I'm seeing in chat that stream is stuttering a little bit, and I'm seeing that a little bit. One sec, guys. I'll try to find out what the issue is here. Try to correct that, maybe. Ah, that's what it is. Problem should be solved. As I'll hop back in and see if that should fix it. How about now, guys? Looks good, I think. But if it starts stuttering again, let me know. But let's look at our lanes. We've actually got an aggressive tri-lane here coming up from compLexity. We've got Outworld Devourer. He's going to be in the safe lane, and he's going to be babysat by the Witch Doctor, who's a little bit further down the lane. We've got, like I said, this aggressive tri-lane where they've brought the Gyrocopter here with the Tusk and the Visage. As for our mid lane, it's going to be the Invoker going up against the Death Prophet, a matchup that we saw last game, except this time it's in reverse. And in the top lane, it's going to be the Doom and the Spirit Breaker going up against the Faceless Void. So we've seen this a lot from compLexity and Swindlemelons. They go aggressive and they take their offlaner and put them safe lane. And this time they pick a more standard offlaner in the Void. But sometimes we see them go with a little bit more unorthodox picks like the Warlock, for example. We've seen them run the Jakiro as well. As HFN is now TP'd up here, as they're looking like they want to change up the lanes and adjust, because they do not want their Outworld Devourer going up against that aggressive tri-lane. So they instead throw their Outworld Devourer up into the top lane, and then they rotate those supports towards the mid lane. As Limp, you're in trouble, as he is going to go down for our first blood. It's going to be blessed with the last hit. So he gets the first blood for Shazam. Z-Freak's going to get the bottom bounty rune, and Brax is going to pick up the Arcane. As he's trying to run away from this melee creep. He's got a Clarity activated.
Dire's middle tower
doesn't want that to get knocked off. And Z-Freak catching MSS as he was trying to do some pulling. Actually blocked it with the Ice Shards there. And now it's getting a little bit of damage in on MSS. It's probably going to end up Z-Freak losing more HP. Now action the top as Swindles is getting charged. And Handskin's up here as well. As SVG is probably just going to back away. Brax is rotating in as well. Limp TP back to the mid lane. Where now he's going to find a little bit of space up against Blessed here. But already, look at the last hits. We've got a huge lead for Chessie. He's sitting at 15 and 6 on this Gyrocopter. Then it's Blessed on the Invoker at 9 and 4. His counterpart in the mid lane, Limp, sitting at 7 and 4. So only a very slight lead for the Invoker, but of course that little bit of gold, and I guess it's a lot more than a little bit of gold that you got for First Blood, is definitely going to mean that Blessed is quite a bit ahead. Top lane, HFN in a little bit of trouble here. He will get the banish off onto Handskin. But he's managed to get up to 8 and 2 CS, just a little bit behind Swindlemelons, who's at 10 and 5. As Brax, the one who's really lost out here, is he's doing a lot more of a roaming job, as he's sitting at 6 and 0, and SVG charges in again as Limp. He's in trouble. We are going to have a TP coming in from Z-Freak. Is it going to be in time? The answer is no.
You were no match for my powers.
And he got there a little bit earlier. He probably could have got a snowball and picked up Limp so that he didn't get hit by that tornado, but they still would have been rolling forward, and I don't know if that would have even saved him. Well, HFN going to get slowed down again. Swindle's going to get some right clicks in here. Are they going to dive past the tower? No, and they shouldn't. Because here comes SVG and Brax. This unorthodox roaming duo working quite well for Shazam, as it's going to find another kill as they drop the Visage and they look for Swindles here. But he'll leap away and rewind time a little bit and get some of his HP back. I want to take a look at Hanskin and his skill build. He has gone for 1 point in Grave Chill and then the 2 points in Soul Assumption. If you've ever watched Lil play this hero, you'll know that sometimes he actually goes for 2 points in the Grave Chill, which is a little unorthodox, but seems to work. I'm not really sure when he chooses to go for it and when he doesn't, and what the thought process is there, but it's interesting to note. And Hanskin going with the much more standard, as I think Lil's the only player I've actually seen do that, which is quite interesting. But he's also probably probably one of the best Visage players right now in the competitive scene. Is Limp gonna go down again as Hanskin will TP on in, but once again they're not able to save, but they will get a return kill this time as Z-Freak also snowballed in from the bottom rune. But Ice Shard's going to be off the mark, so they're not going to be able to get Brax there, and they don't really have enough to follow it up. They didn't have enough for a Soul Assumption, which is going to be the majority of their damage. But still, they've been able to put a lot of pressure on this mid lane and shut this Death Prophet down, but it's left Chessie completely uncontested in this bottom lane, as he's way out in front still. 36 and 13 CS on this gyrocopter. Then, are we even surprised anymore? Swindle Melon's finding a way to get so much CS as he's up at 26 and 6. Then it starts to be some of the heroes from Shazam, as they've got 22 and 10 on their Invoker, as SVG relentless on these charges on Limp in the mid lane.
Radiant's bottom
But
tower
Limp's
is
actually
under attack.
doing a pretty damn good job, despite the fact that he's died 3 times. He's sitting at 21 and 7 CS, so while he's in the lane, he's getting good CS. But he keeps dying, so he's losing some of that gold. But certainly, you can't always play super defensive and super far back and super hiding under your tower and not ever last hitting, because then they don't even have to gank you because they're already winning. And the ganks are not really going to do much. But put the team in a potentially vulnerable situation. So you've got to be playing, not aggressive, but you've got to be out there and having a presence in the lane and getting those last hits. And we're seeing Limp doing that. Unfortunately, it is costing him his life a few times. Frankly, I think we could have had a little bit faster TP support coming in from the supports of compLexity. But once again, I'm not sure if it really would have saved him every time or if it ever would have saved him. But we did see one return kill as both supports rotated the last time. And now Chessie has hit level 6 and he's looking for an engage on the mid, but he has been spotted by this Observer Ward from the Radiant side. Dire side's got one a little bit further up. So they both have vision over roughly the same area. As Chessie's passed over mid, now he's going up to the top lane where Brax is kind of pushed out. Now he's going to get leapt on by Swindles, who will throw down the Chronospheres. Brax is going to take a fall here. We will have a TP in from MSS. So he'll toss out the cask, but not going to be able to back it up with anything else. Z-Freak doing some stacking in the jungle here, as he's going to make this a triple. Maybe allow Limp to go and farm that up, or they could leave it for Chessie on the gyro, though. Chessie's had a really great start to this game, so I expect they're going to want to give that to Limp. As Snowball's going to come in from Z-Freak, going to stun up Bless. Will he be able to get the Invisor? No. Bless able to right-click that first before Z-Freak. And then, of course, SVG comes charging in because he's been everywhere on the map.
Meant to have this.
As SVG will now actually TP out, and rightfully so, because there's no way for them to interrupt. Snowball was still on cooldown there.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Really interesting playstyle we've seen on this Doom, as they've been roaming around with the Spirit Breaker. It has cost Brax quite a bit though. He's only got 17 CS right now. Although he's got his Tranquils, he's got his Gloves of Haste, he's at 600 gold. So he's about a third of the way to his Midas, if we assume that's what he's going with the with the Gloves of Haste, is that's pretty standard for a Doom, but nothing's been standard about how they've played the Doom so far. As they're looking to maybe set something up here on Chessie. As Chessie's going to go on the offensive onto Brax, but what he doesn't know is that MSS is in behind him, and here he comes. He's going to toss out the cask. Brax going to stomp the ground. SVG comes charging in. We even have a TP from Blessed as well. As the gyrocopter goes down, and that's a good amount of gold going to go the way of Shazam. 600 gold going their way, or 400 gold going their way. It's a 600 gold difference when you factor in the gold loss from the gyro.
Top tower is under attack.
And SVG continues with the charging, as this time it's going to be on Handskin. As he won't get the chain bash procs that he needs there. But he will still keep diving past the tower, and now this might cost him, because Chessie's going to TP up here and walk away. He's going to go for some last hits here. He's got to know that SVG is here. And there we go. Handskin will find him in the trees, and now they'll get the kill on the Spirit Breaker. Or will they? SVG charges away the auto attack. Will chase him down. A snowball from Z-Freak onto Bless in the mid lane. He will get the tornado off. It's actually going to catch both heroes. As now with MSS having TP'd on in, they're going to go on the offensive. As Z-Freak going to constantly get stunned up by that cold snap. As Swindle's going to leap on in. Drop the Chronosphere, doesn't get two, he only gets the one, but Limp cleans up the other kill as Swindles gets the kill on the one he found in the Chrono, which was MSS, and it wasn't actually him that got the last hit, it was the Exorcism from Limp. But compLexity get those kills in the mid lane, but still actually find themselves behind one kill in this game, 6-5. As Brack's going to find another kill in the top lane, but he's going to go down. As, I apologize, that wasn't actually Brax finding a kill. That was SVG going down. I thought it was Z-Freak going down, but I misread that. I apologize. There was 4 heroes all on top of each other. All their health bars were kind of meshing together.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
We got a smoke here from MSS and Blessed as they're going to move up to the top. Maybe trying to put more pressure on Chessie as SVG's charging on in. Now we're also going to have a TP from Brax as he's respawned. The charge has been cancelled. Now they're going to find Z-Freak, who's in the trees. And Handskin, Chessie, and Co are going to have to come in and try and help him out here. She's going to snowball forward. It's going to be on to Brax. And yeah, they're just going to cut their losses here and say, buddy, you're dead. We'll see you again in 20 seconds when you respawn. We'll start hopping around checking our different heroes as we also switch to the net worth as well, as we know Chessie's going to be number 1 as he's got the ridiculous CS to start this game off, but he's actually not as far ahead as maybe we would have expected. But he's got his face as Aquila and a Helmet Dominator. Hanskin, who's been up here babysitting, he's sitting on Arcanes. Also level 6, so he's got his familiars up.
Radiant structures
will just
are
be flying up
fortified.
over the trees here. As for Shazam, they're looking like they've gathered up here in the top lane. Blessed has got his Phase, Urn, and Midas. Brax up to 1,300 gold, still looking to buy that recipe. As here comes the call down, and here comes the TPs. As Swindle's also going to TP on in. Will he be able to find 3 with the Chrono? No, he only gets the 2, but he gets the 2 that he needs because his teammates kill Brax, and now they're going to go after Blessed. As Blessed getting very, very low, but will get the Ghost Walk off. Instead, they just turn and kill HFN. Instead, MSS trying to TP out, no bash proc coming up from Swindles. Doesn't even have it skilled up. He does. 2 points in time lock. But Blessed managed to escape there. He did get hit with the dust. But they weren't able to kill him as they did decide to switch to HFN. And we saw just how quickly that Outroad Devour went down. Limp almost done his Yule Scepter. We saw it take a while for HFN to get his completed last game, and that was really costing him. But it looks like Limp is going to be able to purchase that. In fact, he has his Staff of Wizardry, or does he already have the staff? Oh, he's already got the staff. Okay, so his Sage's Mask and the recipe will be flying in on the courier, so that will get completed upon delivery, and there it is. Got Z-Freak just with his boots. SVG has been all over the place. He's 1, 3, and 5 right now. He's got 9 CS. His net worth has actually been hurting a little bit because of how much he's been roaming around. But he's got his brown boots and his Iron Talon, as well as an Orb of Venom. We need to check in on HFN. We haven't seen too much of him. We saw him get deleted from the game in the top lane. As he just has his treads and the makings of a Force Staff, as he needs the recipe to complete that. Brax has now just finished his Hanamitis, although it's on cooldown and he doesn't have any creeps to use it on. The efficiency, not like this. Not like this. So actually come up here, he'll eat a small creep, so it's not going to give him the XP that he really wants, but it'll give him the gold. His Hanamitis will actually multiply the amount of XP that you get from the creep that you eat. So you typically use it on the bigger creeps to get you XP in the early game, and then you transition to using it on the smaller creeps as you get later on in the game, where XP becomes less dependent for your hero. Because the gold that you get is always a flat 190. So if you effectively are using it on the creep that's going to give you less gold, you're going to effectively get more gold from the camp overall, and it's going to help accelerate your gold per minute at the cost of not getting as much XP.
Dire's structures are fortified.
With the smoke from compLexity, they're going to move up to the top lane, try to find a kill, but SVG's hiding in the trees, and now he's going to TP away. He's actually going to get a little bit of a long TP because Brax is already just TP'd to the bottom lane. So instead of it being a 3-second TP, it was 4. And now compLexity says, well, you're just going to run away and TP away from the top lane. We're just going to push. We've got Exorcism up on Limp. We can push your tier 2. And they're just going to charge down the lane, wipe out this creep wave pretty quickly. And they may choose to stay here. Or they might not.
Bottom tower has been denied.
Well, it looks like they're not going to. Maybe they want to go after the mid tier 1 instead.
Top tower is under attack.
As while that was going on, we did actually have Brax deny the bottom tier 1. As the creeps got that into deny range, but here's compLexity making that move towards the mid. So they're valuing the mid tier 1 here, and it's definitely a more valuable tower for Shazam than their top tier 2. As this really opens up a lot of the paths moving in to the Radiant side of the map, as SVG charges in once again. This time he's met with a Yule Scepter and a Call Down and a Soul Assumption and a Snowball and everything, as he's going to go down, as well as MSS. HFN going down as well. We'll get the Sanity's Eclipse off, but it only is going to find him 1 kill on Chessie, as Bless going to go down. It's a full 5-man wipe in favor of compLexity. They're going to get the mid tier 1, which they came for, and they're going to keep going as they're going to go for this mid tier 2. Only losing their gyrocopter in that fight. Is big gold swing going their way, 1800 gold. Take a look at the XP change as well, quite significant. An extra 1300 XP going their way, and then the damage, a full 800 more going the way of compLexity. As they took some damage, but that was just got said in chat. So beautiful, and really it was just a beautiful team fight. It was pretty clear that compLexity knew exactly what was going to happen, and then they responded immediately and perfectly to the engage that was coming in from Shazam, and they just turned it around and just wiped them out. That was a fantastic call down from Chessie. Yes, it ended up getting him killed, but the main initiation was on him anyways. And then we just, it was pretty much picture perfect counter engage there from compLexity, and they got the full 5-man wipe, they got the mid tier 1 tower, and then the mid tier 2 tower, and further put themselves ahead, 14-8 now. As we quickly will look at our net worth, as we're nearing the 10,000 gold lead for compLexity, 7,500 XP lead. As we can't look at that for too long because we got a smoke here from Shazam, but it's going to get popped as a couple heroes from compLexity just kind of move on in, as Snowball's going to come out from Z-Freak. They're going to punch up HFN into the air, as Brack's going to be our first casualty. Then it's going to be HFN. No, maybe not. He banishes himself. Swindles is going to find it onto MSS in the Chronosphere. SVG going to go down just as he finishes his ultimate. HFN gets trapped in an Ice Shards, Force Staffs himself over. Oh, his TP almost completes, but no. The wave is there from the Death Prophet. Is Blessed the only one to escape as he drops into that Ghost Walk, and runs
Radiant's
just
bottom
directly
tower is
up.
under attack.
And that allows him to get away from the fight, as now compLexity says, well, this looks like a great time to go for Roche. We'll go for Roche and maybe even make
Radiant's
a swing down
bottom
into the
tower
Radiant
is
jungle
under
after
attack.
this. Probably won't be able to pressure the bottom tier 2, as 4 heroes are already up on the side of Shazam. And the Outworld Devourer will be up by the time they finish Roche. And in fact, this Roche is actually taking a little bit longer than I would have expected. But, yeah, they'll probably just take this and back now instead of moving down and taking a stronger foothold on the Radiant jungle. They do have the majority of their ultimates up right now. The only one they don't have is Swindle Melons with the Chrono. But they actually will move down here, at least with 2 heroes. As Limp has that Exorcism up, so he's still very scary. But it's not the best for going and trying to gank a hero like that that's backing. So they'll just, once again, take a strong foothold on this bottom lane, say this is our area of the map. Go somewhere else. We realize this is largely attributed to the Radiant side, but not anymore. This is ours. Get out of here. As HFN's going to get tossed up in the air, as Limp's going to get caught out. We're watching the wrong hero on the Dire side down here in the Radiant jungle. Well, maybe we were watching one of the right ones. Z-Freak looks like he's going to get picked off as well. And he was starting to TP out there, and they didn't have any way to interrupt it besides the Doom. And unfortunately, they had to use that rather long cooldown, but it does net them a kill. But I think they'll be fine with it. We'll quickly cycle through some of our heroes here as we've got an SNOI completed by Chessie. He's up to another 1,600 gold. Swindles has the Agatoms. And he's got 1,200. Then we've got Limp, or at least the corpse of Limp in here somewhere. He's going to be respawning now. There we go. As he's got the Yule Scepter as well as the Soul Booster. And 1,000 gold, so he's making progress towards his next item. We've got the Medallion on Handskin as well as the Point Booster, once again making progress towards his Aghanim Scepter. So we can get that extra familiar. HFN, well, we just saw him use his item there, the Force Staff. We saw him use it earlier, Force Staffing himself over Ice Shards. But he's also picked up an Oblivion Staff. His Swindle's going to land a double-man Chrono, as he's now going to get charged by SVG. And then Swindle's actually going to go down as the Tornado's going to fly and it's just going to hit Chessie. A snowball rolling forward, and oh no, Shazam! Shazam just get completely eliminated in that team fight as compLexity just running all over them.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And I was actually surprised. I was reading stuff leading up to the cast today.
Dire's bottom tower
And
is under
I've
attack.
seen a lot of people talk about how their picks
Radiant's
were either
structures
Archon
are
and
fought.
Digital
Dire's
Chaos or
bottom
Digital
tower
Chaos
is
and
fallen.
Shazam
Radiant's top
to
tower
advance,
is under
and
attack.
I was really surprised that both sides were leaving out compLexity. I think compLexity's
Radiant's top
got to be
tower
one of the
has
favorites, but there was a few.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
There was an interview.
Radiant's top barracks
I guess only partially an interview. It was mainly part of the cast where they were talking with Swindle Melons, and Swindle Melons was talking very highly of the boys of Archon and saying how they're basically one of the teams to watch, and they're basically on the same level as compLexity, and so is Digital Chaos. So those are definitely the top three, at least how Swindle Melons views it. And we're seeing maybe Shazam taking up that 4th place here, as we've already seen Archon advance, and we've got Digital Chaos waiting for the winner of this. And so far, looking so good if you're a compLexity fan, as they've already got 1 game up, and this game's looking not completely in the bag, but it's getting there. It's getting there, as we'll actually bring up the gold graph as we're approaching the 15,000 net worth lead for them. XP, it's already past 12k, almost at 14k. As they continue to win these fights and pull further and further ahead, we've got Limp now completed his Octarine core. Handskin with a couple last hits here, he'll have that's extra familiar. Chessie's also picked up BKB, so they're going to have a fresh 10-second BKB on the Gyro, as well as the Aegis. They've got an Octarine up on the Death Prophet. I don't know how compLexity doesn't win this game. Like, it's obviously there's got to be some big mistake coming up from compLexity to give Shazam a chance. I don't think Shazam are going to be able to play their way back into this game. I think it's on compLexity to lose it. And we'll quickly look at some heroes here on Shazam to see what, if anything, they've got coming out. As it's a point booster on MSS.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
It's a second Oblivion Staff for HFN. Brax, he's got a Blink Dagger.
Dire's
SVG.
courier has been killed.
Oh wow, the courier just got picked off there by Blessed. As we're gonna have an engage here, and it's gonna lead off with the Doom getting killed. Not a buyback immediately from Brax. I'm really surprised by that, as the EMP is gonna get dropped on the ground. Chessie has his BKB pop, so it's not gonna do anything to him, as he's gonna find the kill into SVG. They're gonna chase down Blessed, as he's the only remaining member alive on Shazam, as he is dead. As it's another full 5-man wipe for compLexity. There's still no GG getting called here. Despite the fact that they didn't buy back in that fight, I'm really surprised by that, as this is going to be your bottom set of racks gone. They're going to move up and take your top melee racks as well. Before you're really going to be able to fight, because you've got 25 seconds on your OD, 35 on your Invoker. Really surprised that they didn't buy back there. As now they're going to be down 2 sets of racks, and there we go. Good game will get called by Brax, as Shazam are going to tap out, and we'll say goodbye to them for the Shanghai Majors. We've got compLexity advancing to the next round. Well, they'll be going up against Digital Chaos in another best of 3. And the winner of that will go to Shanghai to represent the Americas region. And I'm seeing it in chat. All three teams deserve a spot in the major. That's referring to when I was talking about compLexity, Digital Chaos, and Archon. And you know what? I have to agree. I think all 3 of those teams are on a very, very even playing field. We saw Archon and compLexity go to a 3-game series. We saw Archon and Digital Chaos go to a 3-game series. And the only kind of outlier is the fact that Digital Chaos 2-0'd Shazam, and then compLexity 2-0'd Shazam. So Shazam, pretty clearly, I think, 4th in this group. But I think it could go either way between those other 3 teams. Archon has one out, and they've got the first spot, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to say goodbye to either compLexity or Digital Chaos after our next series. But either way, I think both those teams would do a pretty good job representing the region. We don't really expect them to go and maybe win the major, but it would be nice to have NA Dota get a good showing from their qualified teams. But once again, guys, I was Niz. Hopefully you're enjoying the cast so far. We will have that next series coming up shortly, as I'm going to throw it to music, and we're going to take a quick break as we wait for that lobby to get hosted and the players to get ready. So we've got one more best of 3 to actually close out our coverage of the Shanghai Major, and then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled programming, as we've got the Dota 2 Canada Cup starting back up on the 12th, so 2 days from now. But yeah, I'm going to throw it to music. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back shortly with our next series between compLexity and Digital Chaos.